I want to be more chill. The first time I was on here, I was like tucked in, like just in the corner, like oh yeah, my name's Adrian. I feel more ready to go.
Yeah, you look good, man.
Thanks.
We're good. We're up. Is this a combination of your podcast and a Nickla Group?
I don't think so. It'd be cool if we get
podcast.
My podcast doesn't have guests. It's just me.
Oh, I see.
Maybe you're the first guest. I don't know.
No. I see. So is this 30 then? 31. Who was 30? Was it who's mayor? Oh yeah. Only the mayor of Crown Point, Pete Land. Yeah, Mayor Land was 30. Okay, well 31. All right, 31. Well, we got a little mix up. Tell me what's going on. This is your show. You tell me.
Okay, so today we are on the Nickla Group Podcast. Little bit of a different dynamic today. I am Adrian Alvarez, one of the agents on Alex's team, and we thought it'd be a cool idea for me to switch it up and interview Alex after he's interviewed countless people, awesome guests from different backgrounds. But I thought we'd switch it up today and talk to Alex about his business and what he's got going on. Do you want to co-host or do you want to just sit back? Or
this is you, bro.
I'm super nervous. No, I'm just kidding. I kind of want to touch on just at first business-wise, because I think a lot of people know you for business, and like anyone who's watching this podcast, let's just pretend they don't know you. How would you describe Alex Nickla, real estate agent, father, husband? Just if you had to give a little quick biography about yourself.
Yeah, man. First, thanks for bringing this idea though, because I love this. I think it's a great idea, man. And of course, naturally, my ego likes to talk about myself, so I appreciate it. How would I describe myself, man? I think more than anything, like I grew up here in Crown Point, and I had great parents and an amazing brother, and who's still my best friend to this day, who raised me with some amazing values and some just very solid principles of living. And, as a kid, I loved sports. And so I loved playing. I really didn't only start playing sports till I was like 9. So it was kind of later. Like a lot of my friends played young, but sports became a part of my life. And that was my whole focus as a kid. And so, but my parents raised me as a young age. I always remember my mom and my dad both slamming the word respect down my throat as a kid. So as a father now, I try to do that for my kids. Just constantly talk about how to be respectful, because I think that helped me a lot as a kid. Like no matter everywhere I went, I said please, I said thank you. I tried to be respectful, and I'm the product of 2 amazing parents and an amazing older brother and an amazing area here in Northwest Indiana in Crown Point, Lakes Four Seasons, where we grew up. Shout out Lofts. And yeah, man. I mean, again, how do I describe myself now is I've always just naturally loved anything that I did. I was very obsessive over. So anything that I wanted to do, I became ridiculously obsessed. I was very competitive from an early on age. I was also dangerously self-conscious as a young kid too. So the level of being obsessive and competitive, but also very self-conscious, had its downsides. And so as a kid, I played sports. I was obsessed with them. I had an older brother who had older friends, and I wanted to be the kid who was liked and cool. But I was the young kid who was constantly being called the A word, annoying, and always was being called annoying, and that drove me nuts. Still to this day, I have PTSD for that word. Like if someone says I'm annoying, it like triggers me, because I'm like, oh geez. But I was the annoying little kid, man, that just wanted to be liked and fit in. And as time went on, not a lot of that changed. I think I got slightly less annoying, but I got more and more wanted to be liked. I just wanted people to like me, and I was constantly self-conscious of like, I want people to like me. I want people to like me. And as time went on, my whole focus in life was just playing basketball and baseball and football and soccer. And then in high school, it turned into basketball and baseball. And those were my obsessions. And then the self-conscious thing maintained the whole way through. And so did the respect thing, though. My parents constantly, going to Crown Point High School, pretty good size. I met all different types of people. And all of them I tried to respect the best that I could. I made a few mistakes along the way. But for the most part, my parents ingrained in me respect elders, respect friends, and I was grateful to make a lot of friends at Crown Point just because of those principles my parents taught me. And the other thing too, my mom always said, was the golden rule. And I never, everywhere that I went, I tried to treat people the way that I wanted to be treated. My mom put that in my head every single day. My dad definitely on the respect side, and my mom definitely on the treat people how you want to be treated. I had great parents who taught me about a life of faith in God, and parents who instilled those two main things into me, and working hard as well. I watch my mom still to this day. She's up at 5 a.m. and she doesn't quit till she passes out. She works her butt off, and same thing with my dad. So I watch my parents work very hard. I watch them respect people and teach that to me. I watch them constantly ingrain in me to treat others the way I want to be treated. And so those things then turned in at 18 years old after playing sports my whole life, being obsessed with that and being convinced that I was the next Michael Jordan, who was my idol growing up. And you can ask any of my friends. That was all I cared about, was wearing Jordan gear and being Michael Jordan in my basement. But as time went on, at 18, I got introduced to the business world, and I realized that 5'9" and 3/4 probably wasn't going to do it for me in basketball. So at that point, I had some options to play some Division II baseball, or I got introduced to business. And so, again, the way I describe myself now, to answer your question, is a son of God, a father, a husband, and I try to be a good friend. And I really also do try to be a leader to the few people in my life in any way that I can. I think that's how God made me. I just think that I was put on this earth to try to lead a couple people, not anything too crazy. But yeah, man, I don't know. That's a long-winded answer. Maybe I feel like a lot of times context is important, man. Because like when you hear people's stories of somebody, like if they didn't have parents growing up, or they grew up in a rough situation, or whatever it was, I had amazing parents. We didn't necessarily, you being in the business world now, people might think that I came from a bunch of money, and that's not how it was at all. My dad was an electrician. My parents worked at McDonald's when I was growing up, actually. My dad was a manager, and then my mom started going to Chicago every single day when we were little kids. And then my mom, was an administrative and worked in an administrative office. And then my dad was an electrician, his own business, not a union guy, doing his own thing. And then, so we didn't come from a bunch of money, and in fact, quite the opposite. And sometimes, but that whole idea of learning about business and money as a young kid started to expand my mind, that I just wanted to give my family the ability to have the freedom of choice, freedom of time, freedom of finances, and that led me to the real estate industry and the business that we are in now. So, yeah. I mean, that's a long-winded answer explaining myself, but I think context of people's stories is really important, man, because, I love hearing people's stories. That's why I love doing the podcast. Like when you hear about what people have been through and what they do, it starts to make a lot of sense. So anyway, I'll shut up.
That was a great answer. That's all we got, cause man, I can't beat that. No. I will say, when you bring up your parents, I had met them the one time at Culinary Misfits, and I will say, even before I was like introduced to them, I just happened to be at that table because Aunt Laura was at a table, and she invited me over just like talk to them. But your parents treated me like they knew me their whole lives, and I even told my mom, I'm like, oh, that's Alex's parents, and they were just telling me stories and like all this stuff, and almost like I was part of the family. They're like, well, and I'm like, no, I don't know who that is, but like I'll continue with it, and they were just so welcoming. So like I've always just gotten like really good energy from them. The times we're at the lake house, stuff like that, just they're so welcoming and make you feel like family. So going into that though, when you said when you were 18, started looking at the business world, was there any reason why you said, like, what, let me just look into this, or did something like switch for you? Was there a flip in like your mindset that said, I want to get into business? Because you've told your story with me a couple times, and I've always admired at such a young age that you knew, like, because I tell people that all the time, that you've been doing this for a long time, and I said it's not usual where an 18-year-old knows what they want to do. Me personally, I've changed my major like when I was in college, maybe like 3 times. I know friends who changed their major after they graduated, but it just seemed like you knew, or maybe you didn't know, but correct me if I'm wrong, but you knew from 18, like, hey, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to pursue, and I'm going to do that no matter what? Or was it like different ideas, or was real estate always like the end goal? And
Yeah, man. So what happened to me was that when I was in my senior year of high school, I got introduced to the business of network marketing. So, which a lot of people, we were people who were around my age, if they were in high school at the time in the area, there was a company called Vima, or people know it for the energy drink. It was called Verve. People were they were making fun of kids who were walking around trying to sell energy drinks. But I took it very seriously and professional, because I was like, I got introduced to the world of finances and business, and I read a couple books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, books like Think and Grow Rich, all these business books. And I shared early on that I have a very obsessive personality, but you also like, and I can say this, and I try to say it as humbly as possible without sounding, arrogant at all. But when I was younger, I was typically the kid that my friends went to when things got bad. Like, because I was commonly the one not making the dumb mistakes of my friends. And again, I just think I was born that way. I also think I had really good parents. But I also think I was born that way to be like, that's not a good decision. My friends decided to drink an entire bottle of Skull vodka. I think that's a bad choice at 14 years old. It wasn't 14. It was more like 16, 17, 18. But I was like, I'm going to make sure that they're safe and not die. I was usually the one thinking ahead. Especially from a sports perspective, like my friends would all be, having fun doing stupid stuff. I would usually host them, make sure that they were alive and safe, make sure everybody was okay, make sure everyone had a good time. It would stress the hell out of me in the moment. Then when it was done, I knew that we were going to have memories and always look back on it.
For sure.
And it was usually like, that happened at Nickla's house. I remember when this happened at Nickla's. So the point I'm trying to make with this is like, I usually early on had a vision of like where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. I think that was a God-given gift. I really do. And so at 18, I was like, well, when I got introduced to the business world and Vima and Verve and network marketing, I then got introduced to the world of personal development, which was developing yourself. And this is the first time I'd ever heard of this concept. Like, for me, I could develop my game, I could develop my dribbling, develop my shooting, develop my defensive game, develop my swing, my arm, all of that stuff with basketball and baseball. But I never heard the thought of developing your mind and developing yourself. And so this kind of consumed me, because I started to learn from people that had the lifestyle that I thought that I wanted. The question I really started to ask myself at 18, and it got very, very, very deep. Like, was at 18, I was like, what do I want out of my life? And I think most people at 18 just don't do that. Again, I think this is a God-given gift, that I was given the gift of vision to be able to think ahead. And at 18, I was like, well, a lot of my friends literally are going to school because they think it's going to be fun. Yeah. And like, this was a hard decision to make, but at 18, I had already, prior to being introduced to business, had committed to going to IU to go to school in Bloomington. And I thought I wanted to go to it again for fun and have a good time and for the experience. But like, I knew deep down I didn't want anything to do with that. Because anytime I went out and had fun and partied, I was just like, every time I was there, I was like, why the hell am I there? Like, the lead up was, this is going to be cool. And I get there, I'm like, why am I doing this? And then like what it led to, I was like, this is just not me at all. And then God introduced me to my wife at 19 years old, and that was the biggest blessing I've ever had. But to answer your question, and again, context story back behind everything, was at that time, I just started to ask myself, what do I want out of my life? And I would put myself, and again, because I learned from a lot of people in these books and podcasts and things I was reading and listening to, but it took me to the point where these decisions could be really important now. Like, I literally remember thinking like, well, a lot of people will end up going to school for maybe 4 or 8 years. And still maybe not know what they want to do. But as I started to study more and more people in business, the answers kept coming back to, the people that I related to the most were in the real estate industry. Not as agents, but as people who invested in real estate.
Yeah,
so the real estate business made a lot of sense to me. I heard a lot of people, and I always look, I mean, again, everybody says they love houses, right? But like, the idea of owning real estate, just like for whatever, like, excited me. And I listen to people learn about like different ways of investing in real estate. What I really wanted when I asked, what do I want out of my life? I hate the thought that people really will go to work and do something that they genuinely do not like to do. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a job, steady, stable income, something that you got to take care of your family.
For sure.
At the same time, what drove me nuts was people would spend such a large portion of their life doing something that they don't enjoy. That drove me nuts, right? Now, I know people that don't make a lot of money that are some of the happiest people I've ever met because they genuinely are doing something they love to do. I remember, I think I was 14. I was working at Crown Brewery. Shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Walsh. Big fans of that. I grew up with Christine Walsh, one of my closest friends growing up in St. Mary's. And Mr. Cindy and Tim Walsh they got me a job there. I was basically just like a laborer working in one of like the freaking haunted basements in one of these buildings. I'm by myself. If you know me, I don't like that shit. But anyway, cleaning up, doing stuff around there. And I met a guy one day who pulled up at Crown Brewery and was unloading boxes. The guy's a truck driver. Now, this is what? Probably 13, 14 years ago. So truck drivers make good money, but depending on the type of way that you're driving, I mean, the guy walked out. I think to this day, he's probably still the happiest guy I've ever met in my life. And I remember asking him at 14, I was like, man, you're so happy. Why are you so happy? He's like, I just love my job, man. And I can't wait when I'm done. I can't wait to go home and see my kids and my family and blah, blah. I was like, this dude drives a truck. He's the happiest guy I've ever seen in my life. And I met people with millions of dollars who are miserable. So the point, what I'm trying to say is like, what do I want out of my life was I didn't come from money, so I wanted to learn what it was like to have some. That was number one, because I wanted the freedom of choice. Two, well, really the freedom of finances is what it starts with, because, you know, there's a quote that says, money doesn't make us happy, right? But everybody's trying to find out themselves. And I went through a period of time where I started to make money and realized that, nope, this doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
So, but real estate was just an avenue that I had learned from and met. And I was like, a lot of these people make sense for what it is I want. The freedom of finances started with number one. The freedom of time started with number two, which, again, like this morning, my wife had to take our daughter to school. I had our son. I didn't leave my house till about 9:45. It was a freedom of time to make that decision, right? And number three is freedom of choice, which is, I'll give you an example. For, Monday this week, I'm taking my wife and her family up to a house in Michigan City. Actually, we have listed for sale right now to go stay for the weekend. And that's a choice I want to be able to make and take my wife's family to go have fun and enjoy with our nieces and nephews. So for me, it was freedom of finances. Then it turned to freedom of time, and then freedom of choice, right? And real estate checked a lot of those boxes for me. And now it's become a lot bigger than that, because once you get to the point where you realize that money doesn't do it for you, there has to be a much bigger purpose. Yeah. And so the answer was, I did not always know I wanted to do real estate. I just knew that when I asked myself, what do I want out of my life? It was those three things: the freedom of finances, the freedom of time, and the freedom of choice. And real estate checks a lot of those boxes. Real estate investing, definitely. As a real estate agent, this is a business that can consume your life, and it has done that for me for 10 years now. But at the same time, there's a way bigger purpose for it now, why we do what we do. Real estate just, to me, made the most sense. But I know friends who, that people hear about stocks, and they're like, that does it for them.
Yeah.
It just didn't do it for me. I mean, I give my money to my financial advisor, and he does the investing in the stocks. It doesn't excite me. But the real estate thing excites me. And I like it and I enjoy it. And it checks a lot of those boxes for my family. And one other thing too, I heard, my parents separated when I was young. I was 7 or 8. And, I understood what was going on. And to be honest with you, it had an amazingly positive impact on my life. But I heard when I was 18 years old, when I was studying these books and finances, there was a study that was done that said 70% of divorces were caused by finances. And I don't know if that was necessarily the situation with my parents, but I do know that it was very hard at that time. Don't need to go into details, but it was not great. And I remember thinking at 18, this will never be the reason. If I ever get a divorce, which I happen to have the greatest wife on the planet, if I ever get a divorce, it's not going to be because of money. And I made that decision. I'm never going to have that. That's never going to be a reason. And even at 18, I knew I wanted to be a father, and I knew I wanted to be a husband. I'll shut up in a second unless you ask more questions. But Matthew McConaughey in his book Green Lights says the one thing that he always knew he wanted to be was a father. And it's so true, because I never knew I wanted to be in real estate. I never knew I wanted to be a real estate investor. But as a kid, I never consciously said, I can't wait to be a dad. Yeah, but even when I was 10, I would have been like, yeah, of course. In my mind, I'd be like, I'm going to have kids. And now I have 2 kids. And literally, man, but from whatever age, I love when he said that, because I'm like, that's so true. Even when I didn't even think about it consciously, and when all I could think about was chasing girls, I always knew the one thing I wanted to be was a father. And with that comes, again, being a husband. And so all of that ties in now to the freedom of choice, freedom of time, freedom of finances for my kids and for my wife. So, and now then that stems to hopefully helping other people that are around me do the same.
No, that's a great answer, man, because, one of the things that I've really attach myself to that you say is the freedom of choice, finances, and time. Because people have asked me, like, why'd you choose real estate? Because you guys make good money. It's like, yeah, I mean, you could. And some people, sell 3 houses a year. And I mean, it's just like this supplemental income. They'll do it on the side, whatever. But I felt the same way with you, where I was at a job where, you would have to ask to go use the bathroom or ask for vacation. And I used to think, like, man, this kind of sucks. Like, have to ask for permission to do like some basic stuff, and I think real estate for me was an avenue, just like how you said, where I would read these books about these guys and I'm like, they invest in real estate, or even the investors that we know, like even if on our Facebook friends, we see guys all the time that are investing and they go on vacation with their family. They don't have to really report to anybody except, themselves. And I always thought that was such a like superpower in life. If you could wake up every day and do what you want to do based on your time, based on your choice. Like you said, if you want to go this weekend, you don't have to ask someone for vacation time or during the week or whatever the case may be. Or even this Monday, for me, that was first day at school. You just like reschedule something and no big deal. Like no one's going to tell you, can't do that, Alex. You can't take your daughter to school. Like, it's, and I think it's so important for people to realize that like those are the moments that you don't get back. You know what I mean? And that's a big reason why you're so invested into making sure that your life is chosen by you. You know what I mean? So when you first started in real estate versus now.
Hold a question real quick, because I want to add on top of that.
Yeah.
I said there was one question I constantly asked myself, which is what do I want in my life. The second question I asked myself all the time was, if money was not an issue, or if money didn't exist, how would I want to live? Mm-hmm. Now, it's really tough, right? Because that's a tricky question, because you either go one of two ways. You either go kind of the direction I did, which was like, okay, build something that, build a business or focus on sales, focus on whatever, or you become a hippie and live in the mountains. Like, and I literally have friends that like no joke, they're like, if money didn't exist, and by the way, I have mad respect for that, and also in a lot of ways jealous. Like, how sick it would be to like not care about money. Now we live in a world where it's really difficult, especially if you want to have a family and children, right? That's a different conversation. We can go down the rabbit hole of, the banking system and everything that we live in this world. But that's, for me, it was, if money didn't exist, what would I do? Yeah. And that's still what I try to do to this day, is like, not like go spend it like an idiot, but treat money and as a resource that it is. And still to this day, there's days where like, I want to go play basketball because I grew up playing basketball, and I will just go to the Y and play basketball. And not because I didn't need to play, just because I want to, right? Or again, just like this weekend, I kind of want to go hang out with my wife's family. Mm-hmm. I want to get the kids together. There's some cool stuff to do there. Let's go. And so if money didn't exist, how would you live? Like, I love doing the shit that I love to do. I like going to golf. Let's do it. So those questions I ask myself, and like you said, there's times where it's like, I think people, unfortunately, the way that the world and the system was made is like, it very much focuses you on that. And there's a way to live an amazing life, which is exactly how you want to live off $40,000 a year. Mm-hmm. You just have to be self-aware of who you are and what it is that you want. And, I don't know. Those were the two questions that I asked. And it was spun off what you just said. You're like, yeah, on Monday, we move schedules or whatever it is. It's like, at the end of the day, if money didn't exist, how would you live? Mm-hmm. Or how would you want to live? And for me, if I did nothing all day, I would literally lose my damn mind. Like, when I have to be doing something all the time. I got that from my mom. That's how my mom is. If I'm sitting relaxing, I'm like, all right, what can I do? Like, I'll be hanging out with my family. I'm like, all right, kids, grab the football. Let's go. Like, let's do something. Like, and my wife's the opposite. She can sit and relax. And like, I wish I could do that. But, so I went this route because I was like, this could be something meaningful. It could have an impact. And I would like to compete. If money wasn't a thing, I would like to just play sports all day and hang out with my friends and family. Mm-hmm. So now, I like to compete in business, and it kind of satisfies that itch. So anyway, I'm sorry.
No. Brings me to my next point too, the competitiveness. Mm-hmm. So obviously, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like your confidence level from your first day as an agent to now dramatically increases just through experience and doing the thing over and over and over and getting these reps in. And we've talked about it before, and you had a good point when you brought up Michael Jordan, and we've talked about Kobe Bryant, like competitiveness, and I kind of want your opinion on that. Like, I've heard people say you could be too arrogant or too confident, mm-hmm. but I feel on the other side of it, you can be too humble and not give yourself any credit. Like, did you ever struggle with being overly confident, or maybe you were too humble? Like, mm-hmm. trying to find that balance of like, I'm a great agent, like one of the best around versus like being too humble, like, oh, I'm just a because you are very humble, laid back, like you're not like showing off like Mercedes and all the flashiness stuff. But I feel like in a business like this, trying to balance that's something I've struggled with, like being confident, not overly confident, but humble and not overly humble. Like, how have you found that balance versus when you first started to now?
Yeah.
Or if you've gotten better at dealing with that?
Yeah, man. I mean, I struggled big time. My whole, like, honestly, man, if I had the mindset that I have now in my sports career, I really do believe that I would be playing somewhere still to this day. And I genuinely believe that. I think the one thing that kept me back was my ability to be confident and belief in myself. Number one was I had the desire, right? Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's, basically success Bible, right? Yeah. And not to slander the actual Bible, but like the Bible of success as it's referred to. Step one is desire. I honestly haven't had a larger desire in my life than to play sports at the highest level. But the second number two key to success was belief, right? And belief in yourself. I struggled with that so much, man. I had every ability. I had every outside of the fact that I'm not 6'4", but other than that, man, like I have every physical ability, and I truly believe that to this day. When I look back, I'm like, I let the opinions of other people and what other people's thoughts of me become my own beliefs in reality. Yeah. So the reason I bring this up is number one, to sound cool, because I'm like, yeah, I could do it, and make myself think that I could. But number two, because I believe it wholeheartedly, man. I struggled more than anything with the belief in myself that I could accomplish and do something. And so that's taken years and years and years of rewiring, right? As kids, like if you were to take any kid, you could take a kid from Central America, right, who's in a Spanish-speaking area. You could take that kid, and from the time they were born, put them in China, and that kid would have no understanding of Spanish and would know Mandarin completely, or wherever they're from within China, right, depending on the language that's there. The point I'm trying to make is that you're wired from the day that you're born, right? What's being said to you, your experiences, and the belief within yourself has an effect on that. My whole life, I had this disbelief in myself. However, everyone would tell me like, "Hey, man, you're doing great. You're doing good." I'd lead at most games in points and lead this and blah blah blah. But for whatever reason, I couldn't believe in myself. So it took reading books, listening to so many different audios, podcasts, spending and investing tens of thousands of dollars into seminars, books, podcasts, courses, anything that I could to rewire my brain to realize that, yes, you are capable. Now that combined with the fact that what my wiring was as a kid was respect and treat others how you want to be treated. Yeah. Those two principles that my parents taught me. So because of that, I never feel like, I remember, dude, there was one time in my sports career where I was actually like a pompous asshole. I was 12 years old. It was the Connors tournament here in Maryville. And, dude, this other team, like we're walking past this other team. We had to switch dugouts. The kid's like, dude, there's no way you're 12. I'm like, they're like, you must be like 18, like joking. Cause, and at that time, dude, like I was playing some good baseball, and I said something so stupid, but as a 12-year-old, I thought I was cool. Actually, I think I was 11. Now that I think about it. But anyway, they're like, man, there's no way. You're probably like 15, something like that. I can't remember what exactly I said. I was like, yeah, I said the stupidest comeback. I was like, yeah, I play like it too. I was like, what the hell did I say?
Perfect.
But anyway, my first at bat, I hit a bomb. I hit a well over the right center field, opposite field home run. First at bat, and these kids are like, damn. Second one, I smoked a line drive that couldn't have gotten higher than 10 feet high and hit the fence. So like, but I remember feeling like as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, that hurt.
Yeah.
Because like that's not me.
Out of character.
Yeah. Completely out of character. And so other than that, man, I don't feel like I've ever had a moment where I've been like overly confident. But in business, because of all the rewiring, right? Your brain is literally like a supercomputer. You know this because you study this stuff. But I didn't realize this until 18, 19, 20. And it's taken me freaking 10 years. I'm 28 now. And I still have to listen to this stuff in days and convince myself like that's how it works. So the answer, how do you go back in between that? I mean, my parents solved that when they ingrained respect and treat others how you want to be treated in my head. And still to this day, like there's very few times where I feel like I've had to go and say something that was, overly confident or arrogant. But deep down in my mind, like I know that on the smallest scale, if somebody believes I'm meant to be their agent, I know that I'm the best choice for that. And that's because I've prepared for that, right? Confidence really does come in preparation. That confidence when you over prepare, right? You ever gone on an appointment and you're like, I didn't look at the comps and I didn't
when
run
people say
everything.
like you're practicing on your clients, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, you've got like, that's why we talk about the exact thing. Like it's over preparation breeds that confidence. I'm telling you, man, there was nobody who practiced their listing appointment in Northwest Indiana more than me. Like I can get when I was 19, 20.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that I did it every day like a psycho by myself in the second floor.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
And I don't tell you guys that as a joke. Like I was by myself in those cubicles practicing my listing presentation every single day with nobody, by my damn self. So when I went on the appointment, that's how I built my confidence. It was rewiring my brain plus over preparation. And that combined with the principles that my parents taught me of respect and treating others the way that you want to. If somebody disrespects me, we're going to have a different type of conversation. But as a kid, I wasn't that way.
Yeah.
When people would disrespect me, I would kind of fold and like, cause my belief was different. But now I know that I'm here to do well by anybody that I meet. There's no harm that I intend for anybody. So if somebody's going to disrespect me, we're going to have a different conversation, but I'm going to do it in a respectful way that makes you feel stupid. And I'm confident enough that I can do that now. And we have a term for that on our team that I'm not gonna mention that we call, but we do that in the event that we know, and at the same time, I'll be the first person to say when I ever mess up. Like, so if I make a mistake, that's one of our 5 core values is accountability. If I ever make a mistake, I'll be the first one to tell you, I messed up. So what do I have to hide? There's nothing for me to be, to be concerned or scared of. I have every bit of confidence in that. So, man, it's been years and years and years of practicing and working on this. So the answer is, man, just knowing that the way that you're wired, that disbelief in yourself is not really who you are. Right? That negative thought, whether you believe it's the devil, it's evil, whatever it is, your subconscious puts those thoughts into your conscious and makes you believe that. You have to rewire what your subconscious thinks so that naturally you walk around and you're like, I am capable of this. I am deserving of this. A lot of people don't believe that they deserve their success. So you have to rewire that, right? And for me, I know that I'm never trying to do ill will amongst anybody. I'm always trying to do, and my intentions are always for the better of anybody that's around me. I will always respect and treat others how I want to. And now because I prepare, right, I'm confident in my business and my work. And also because I know that deep down I'm meant to deserve that and I'm good enough for that. So why not believe in yourself to do it?
For sure.
And again, that's taken a decade of work.
No, and I think that's encouraging too, because I meet people all the time, whether they're in real estate or sports, even like not having that belief, and to hear you say that you have to rewire your brain, because I mean, I have friends and people I know that are like, I don't think I deserve X, Y, Z, or this kind of job, this kind of relationship, this kind of life. And it's like, why not? And it's like, they usually don't have a really legitimate answer. It's usually opinion, not a fact. Like, I don't because, and it's like, is that really the truth, or is that what you're telling yourself? And that's kind of where I was too. Like even in baseball, like you just said, that was something where my confidence could be baseball is a very up and down game. You could go 3 for 3, next day you strike out 3 times. So I think my focus was, like I asked you to, stay not overly confident, like, stay afloat in the middle, not get too high, not to get too low. So I think that's a great answer, man.
The most important thing is how you view yourself.
Yeah, in the mirror.
It's the belief of your own self-image, man. Like, how do you view you? And that took me a very long time to get through. And genuinely, I firmly believe this. I think I'd be playing baseball at a pretty high level if I would have changed my belief. I firmly believe that. But at the end of the day, God didn't do that for me. And there's a reason that my life is here.
For sure.
Right? And so that's all just understanding that this plan is not mine. It's surrendering to that. That's my belief that this is all happened for a reason. And if I would have went down that path, I probably would have never married my wife. I would not have my daughter. I would not have my son. I would not have the business and life that I have now. And I literally love my life. So everything happened for a reason to get to this point. And at the same time, I can still shoot some jump shots. I feel pretty damn good about it.
Yeah, I agree, man.
So
not a bad life at all. Okay, in terms of the why, we talk about the why a lot on our team. Why you do something, why you wake up in the morning, why you want to be a great real estate agent, whatever it is that you do. Now with your family, congratulations on Gio, by the way. And I'm sure the perspective has changed a lot, but from your, I guess, first year, maybe first day as a real estate agent versus now, your why has changed, I'm guessing, because you're a father now. So
it's very similar though still, but yes.
I was gonna say I'm guessing it's pretty similar. Just you have more people to provide for, more people to have to inspire you, to encourage you to do well. But has that why always been like a solid thing, or has it changed over the years, or has it always been like
I feel like it's developed. Like,
okay.
So it started with what I shared with you, which is I wanted freedom of finances.
Yeah.
And that was for more wrong reasons. Cool stuff. A cool car. I'd never had one. I always had beater cars, which, by the way, another great lesson from my parents. Like, my parents told me, yeah, we'll help you pay for the portion of a car, but you pay for half, we'll cover the other half. I thought that was a good, valuable lesson because I learned how to earn my own money and go buy what I could afford. And then from there, because I had my own money into it, I had to learn how to so anyway. But number one, it started with freedom of finances, right? And making money. That's what it started with. That has since evolved to the freedom of choice and time, which we've discussed.
Yes.
So number one was freedom of choice and time, to be able to make the choices that I want, all the way down to, well, the chicken tonight is $22.50, but the steak is $43.75. Well, is that $21 going to stop me from eating what I want to eat? And the answer now is no, right? But also I wanted that freedom of choice, even as small as those decisions. It might sound ridiculous, but so the freedom of choice and time was number one. And the freedom of finances, unless you're somebody who's very, very, unless you're somebody who's pretentious, or you just have a way of like, you value material things, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. The term pretentious sounds negative, but if you value material things, you may always have a drive for money. I just personally don't.
Yeah.
Like, money, in my opinion, money will always fail you, because you start to realize that like, what's the significance of it? What's the fulfillment from it, other than that it's a resource and it can provide? But for me, number one was the freedom of finances, time, and money. That was number one. The freedom of time, though, will always pull me and push me, right? Secondly, has been the impact side of things. So as a kid, like on the sports teams, I feel like most of the time I naturally gravitated towards a leadership position. And it's because, and even as a kid, when we were in like third grade and, like a buddy of mine's girlfriend would break up to him, they'd usually come talk to me.
Yeah.
People are in sad moments, they'd come talk to me. And I don't know, again, I think that was God given. And I love those situations. I love those conversations. When shit goes wrong, I want to be the person that people feel they can lean on. But now in business and in life, I can feel like I can have an impact on people. Right. So being able to have an impact on people drives me a lot more than being able to just make money.
Yeah.
Right. And that then turns into, my family. Right. But also the third thing, man, is just getting, if you're in life, Ed Milet has a really good way of explaining this. But for me, why would you not try to see how much you can become? Why would you not try to see how much you can create, how many people you can help, how much you can do in life? Like, I feel like if you're not trying to squeeze everything out of this life, then what are you doing? That's how I look at it. That's a good point. Right? And it's like, I want to focus on my like third part of my why is just, I want to become the best that I can possibly ever become. And like Ed Milet puts it, he says, heaven is when you die, you go and you see that person, you meet, God introduces you to, hey, here's the person that you could have become, the highest version, highest form of you, the highest potential. And heaven is you meet that person, you're the same person. But hell is you meet that person, you're complete opposites, right? And you meet that person, you're nothing like them. And my thought is like, why not, Jim Rohn puts it really well. He says, why not see how many books you can read, right? Why not try to see how much you can earn and see how much you can impact and see how much you could do? And I think it's a really good way of looking at life, man. It's like, why would you not? Why would you not try to go after what it is that you believe in? Why not? So for me, it's really working on becoming that best form of me. And constantly figuring ways to grow. And that comes in different areas, man. Like sometimes it's in my relationship. That's where I'm focused on growing. Sometimes it's being a father. Sometimes it's in and by I should say relationships. Sometimes it's in marriage. Sometimes it's in business. Sometimes it's in finances. But all of those areas you focus on growing, you're constantly stretching and squeezing out of life what you can do. So for me, it's the freedom of time and choice. It's the ability to impact people around me. It's the going after everything that I can possibly become and who I want to be. And 4, it's definitely my family. I think Alex Hormozy talks a lot about this. Where like, and Patrick Bet David, I follow Pat really closely. They talk a lot about how like the truth is, unless you have like even mega wealthy families, like there's not a lot that you pass down, right? And it typically can go away. So for me, it's not so much about passing down money and fortune. It's really just passing it down and changing the trajectory of my family. I have amazing parents, but prior to that, I never met my grandfathers. From what I don't know too much about them. I do know that there's some pretty long-term history with a lot of the men in my family, that, as you go down that we're alcoholics. There's not a close Nickla family heritage, right? So it's not like this pride thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to have a complete change. And my wife really introduced this to me. When I met my wife and seeing her family, she comes from an Hispanic background, how close they are and how genuinely close they are.
Yeah.
Not like it's not this bullshit fake like, oh, we got to meet on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's like my wife is
Legit.
legitimately so much happier around her family. It's not even funny. And most of the people that I know are not like that. Like when I met my in-laws at first, I was like, this is not what I expected my in-laws would be like.
Mm-hmm.
As I meet them more and more and more, I'm like, this is the most amazing setup for me to have in-laws, because they teach what like genuine love and relationships is like. So the fourth thing for me, man, is having the kind of changing the trajectory of my family, not just from a financial perspective, but from a, values, principles, long-term viewpoint, family, like culture, and kind of the way that the Nickla family moves. Like I want it to be like there's a sense of pride that the last name is Nickla, and specifically on the male side as leaders. Like I want, and I think my brother and I, man, we were set up with our parents who gave us a very good foundation of mindset,
mm-hmm.
and again, principles, the ways to think, that we're both building that. And from now, we can start to branch that out and grow to a place where, because of my great-grandfather, Alex, this is what our family does. And that's why, like, even doing the podcast and stuff, my great-grandkids could hopefully watch this stuff.
Yeah.
And hopefully that inspires them to be like,
That'd be
I
awesome.
want to do this for my kids. I want to do this for my family, right? Not just make selfish decisions just for me and what my desires are. I want to do this for my family. I want to do this for my kids. And that is my goal. Like, I really don't, dude, I don't know anybody. Like, I've seen photos of both my grandfathers. I knew nothing about them. Both of them died young. And it didn't seem like there was this very close, tight-knit culture of a family, the Nickla family. But I want to be able to, hopefully one day, our kids and great-grandkids and grandkids look back and say, like, my grandpa Alex, right? Because of him, this is where our family is, and this is why we are the way that we are. And because of Grandpa David, who's my brother, and because of, Aunt Mila, right? Mm-hmm. Like all of that thing, and Grandma Sai, like, dude, that stuff gets me excited. That is way more deeper than just like, I want to make $100 grand.
Make money, yeah, for sure.
It's like all of those things then tie into what I do on a daily basis. And so for me, it's really those four things, man: freedom of time and choice to be able to really be who I'm meant to be. 2 is the ability to impact people and the people around me. 3 is the what was that third one? Help me out here. Third one was on what I have: finances and freedom of time. We had impact. Third one was squeezing everything out of life and just being the best version of me. And then 4 is having that generational change kind of on my family. That is my goal. And it's not from a monetary perspective. I think Vanderbilt's lost their money in like 2 generations.
Yeah, that's what Alex Ramosi talks about. That like generation,
Yep.
like you'll be 3 generations away from the wealthy family, and it's all gone by then. So,
but I do think that culture,
mm-hmm.
a culture of a family, pride in a family, the values, the things that people are taught, those things I think can be passed down.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the pride in a family is really important. Like, this is one thing that the Tate brothers kind of talk about. Now, if you've never really listened to the Tate brothers, then you may not like them. But if you really listen to them, they have some good things that they teach, which is like, Andrew always talks about how like his dad would always say like, you're a Tate.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how the Tate family
carry
is.
on the name.
And he walks around and he's proud of
Mm-hmm.
that being his last name. And and being here in America, man, we have the biggest blessing and opportunities to make that happen for our lives. So I don't know, those for me are really the 4 things. Those are things that I can wake up and be like, I'm not going to quit on that.
Yeah, that drives you and gets
Correct.
you out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move to social media questions, I will say personally, when people say like, oh, you work with Alex, real estate broker. But I don't really describe you as real estate broker. Like when I think of you in my head, I honestly do think of you as like family man, husband, dad, and then real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like real estate is something you do on the side. I feel like you are full time in husband, family man, like dad. There's no one else I know. Mm-hmm. Not saying I don't know good dads. I know very good dads. Yeah. But you will make a point to make sure you're there for Mila, Gio, Sai, and everyone, to host something, to make everyone feel welcome. So before we move on, how fun is it and how exciting is it? How much do you love being a dad, being a husband, just having a family, and just, your position?
More than anything. And like, Yeah, dude, it's the most fun and amazing thing on the planet. It's also the hardest thing I've ever done. And so, but again, the way that the world was so designed is that the most rewarding things in the world are supposed to be hard,
For
right?
sure.
Literally how the world is created. The things that are the most enjoyable and the things that mean the most and are the most fulfilling are the hardest things. All the way down to, like, if you look at life itself, neither of you guys have kids, but anybody who does have kids, if you watch the art and beauty and difficulty of childbirth, right? Life itself, like pregnancy and everything that goes into that process, and then giving birth, nothing about it is easy.
Yeah.
But then what happens is a child is born. My wife and I last night were watching the birth of our son, because I love the it was amazing watching all of it. And it was brutal, dude. It's brutal. Like, so the act of actually creating life, coming into this world, is insane. But as soon as that child is there, it is the most beautiful, amazing thing ever. So being a parent, dude, is the best thing on the planet. Like, and being a husband and that family dynamic, I think what's really important, and I think a lot of these, if you look at most, one of the beautiful things about, any sort of religion is there's usually some sort of values that are taught. And like, when you become a parent, you start to realize that this life is not about you anymore, right? And I think that's the biggest problem that we have in the world that we live in today, is everybody is just trying to live their life as, what makes me happy? What are my desires? What do I want?
Yeah.
That's literally what it means. The first principle, wow, we don't have to get too deep, but I'm going to just reference it. People who believe in and worship Satan, the number one belief is, what are my desires? And doing anything at any point in time that satisfies your desires. That's what it means to believe in evil. Okay? So for me, having kids is literally like, I look at them, I'm like, I will do anything for them.
Yeah.
And sacrifice what I want. Which, by the way, this morning, plan on getting up at 6 a.m. My daughter usually doesn't get up at 6. She usually gets up at like 8, 7:30, 8 o'clock, get ready for school. She woke up right around 6, and my plan was to get up at 6. I was going to do some golf. I was going to work out. And by the time she got up, I'd be ready to go. Guess what happened? She woke up. And you know what? I had to sacrifice everything that I wanted to do right then and there. And by the way, I was happy. I used to be a lot more angry about it, but I was happy to do so. So I love more than anything being a dad. And there's days where I feel like I'm not doing a great job because my phone is constantly ringing and dinging and things going on with business and life, and I'm not as present as I want to be. And that will be a challenge for a long period of time. And I'm working on resolving a lot of that. But that'll take time. But more than anything, man, the relationship with my wife, which our 4th anniversary was just a couple days ago. On our anniversary, I was like, I literally don't know how I could love her more. Like, I love her way more today than I did a year ago, and then I did. And without her, dude, I'd be doing a lot of stupid, selfish shit. Like, I'd be doing a lot of things that I don't necessarily want to do, things that just feel like it's all about what it is that I want to do. And that's not the best version of me. So that doesn't tie back to my why. Like, I'd be doing things that I know would take me out of chasing girls and going out and enjoying. And like, I hate all those things, and all of them are about me, and none of them are about things I want to do. When going back to when I was 14, 15, 16, did I have fun hanging out with friends? Yes, I enjoyed the relationships. I did not enjoy the whole act of like drinking and doing this and partying and trying to, it just wasn't me. So without my wife, I'd be way farther away from who I want to be. Am I always the first person I talk to about anything is my wife?
Shout out, Si.
That's the best, man.
Shout out.
I don't know a better human on the planet. I don't know why she is married to me. I literally don't understand. I'm just gonna thank God every day. And my kids, man, like that, the relationship with those three, and hopefully more future kids. There's nothing that's more enjoyable. And the beautiful thing about kids too, man, and I heard this from Jordan Peterson, is that your kids, all they want is to be your best friend. Like, your kids have nobody else other than like you. All they want is for you to love them more than anything in the world. And it's crazy because there's times where like, my phone rings, or I've got something to do, or I've got this going on, and like, distractions of the world can happen. And I just try to like put it away and just look in my kids' eyes and just know that like, all I want is for them to be my best friend too.
That's awesome,
dude. It's the best, man. So I hope that answers
No,
it.
that's a
But there's
great
nothing
answer.
more I give a shit about. You could take everything. Take everything from me. Any possession, anything. my family, you put us in the woods. We'll figure it the fuck out, and I'll be as happy as I could possibly be. And I mean that genuinely. I love my family so much. It's the best thing in the world.
That's a great answer, man. Damn, I feel like I want to get married tomorrow now. Okay, so we'll move on to social media questions. So we got a couple, man. We'll start with the more business related ones, and then we'll go to the more funny ones. But so we have a question here. So, as a broker owner, where does Alex see his business in 2 to 5 years?
Yeah. So technically, I'm not a owner. Broker owner. Mike and Pam Tizak are broker owners. Yeah. As a team leader, and I want to maintain just being a team leader.
For sure.
I don't want to do what Mike and Pam do. I don't think there's anybody better at what they do here in the region. They deal with all the shit that I really don't want to deal with, and that they're really good at doing, and I'm not good at doing. But you said 2 to 5 years?
2 to 5 years. What do you see 2 to 5 years.
So, yeah, 2 to 5 years from now, I see that we have a team of roughly, call it 20 people or so, which right now we have 15. 20 to 25 people and a few of those are, we got Noah here who's running all the marketing. Shout out to Noah on the back end, getting us, up in the Google rankings and getting all of our content out and making all these videos. We got a couple of our administrative team, which right now we have Taylor, Virginia, and Amanda, but we have 15 to 20 of the highest quality sales professionals in Northwest Indiana. We would be the number one team in Northwest Indiana doing, our goal is $100 million a year in sales volume. So as the number one real residential sales team in Northwest Indiana at about $100 million in sales volume, with 15 to 20 of the highest level real estate professionals. And what that means is these are people that treat this business as professionals. And for me, I'll be working with some clients, teaching, coaching, training this team, running the business, marketing, doing what we're doing here with, I love sitting down and having these conversations and marketing and making videos, and buying investment real estate. That's kind of where I see what the business will look like, and having an impact on the people in Northwest Indiana on a small scale. I mean, I think that this business, the real estate business that we're in, is always changing, but at the same time, it needs people that are doing this for the right reasons, and not just commission breath, and not just doing what's in it for me. And it starts that way. We talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I need to make money. I need to pay my bills, take care of my family. But eventually, you have to get to the point where every transaction is not about what's in it for you. And it took me a couple of years to get to that point. But so it's a team of people who their whole focus, anyone who's selling and helping clients buy and sell real estate, they have the empathy of the fact that this is about their situation. Yeah. They may only do this 3 to 5 times in their life. And we'll do it 3 to 5 times every week, if not more. And so keeping that in mind, that we need to give them an amazing experience. That's our little way of impacting Northwest Indiana. And then from there, we can give time and resources back, just like you did, or just recently you gave the backpacks back to the kids. And did you do East Chicago or Hammond?
It was East Chicago.
East Chicago.
It was at
where you're from.
Yeah, it was at the church that I went to preschool. Well, we still go to church there.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Great time.
And you gave away, 94 backpacks technically? You had 98 and you left 4?
I have 2 more left.
So 2 more left,
man. Yeah.
So, that's awesome. A good example of impact, right? So, yeah, man, that's about the size. That's about the sales volume. That's about the team perspective. That's about what I would be doing. But it's a business that is having an impact from a professional level with every client that we work with. And it's also a business that's giving back to this community, every community in Northwest Indiana in different small ways. We're not going to change the world, right? We're not going out and, we're not solving world hunger. But, if we can help some kids who might be hungry in Northwest Indiana, that would be a great way of having an impact.
I agree. I mean, we talk about that too with the Vivid Vision as well.
Yeah, man. Yep.
So these next 2 are from an agent actually within our office, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Is most of your business now referral based or social media?
Yeah, man. Good question. I would say most of it is referral based. Social media, though, built that, and still to this day, I think social media complements all that. So, I think I get referrals because of the fact that social media plays a big factor. People that are in, that are past clients of mine or that are in my sphere of influence, people that I talk to, they follow me on social media. So they'll see my posts and be like top of mind when it's time to buy or sell.
Sure.
Alex is the guy. So I would say that, we definitely get a lot of opportunities through social media, but at this point, it's more so people that have had an experience with us in the past. They like that experience and they tell their friends and family, hey, this is the place to go. These are the people to work with. So that's I would say in every year I usually run those numbers. It's usually around 70% of the time it is a referral from a past client or somebody that I know. So, which I'm very proud of that number, to be honest with you.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, is there in terms of social media, do you get more from Facebook or Instagram, or is it kind of just wherever?
I'd say more on Facebook.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
more on Facebook. I definitely built my business more on Facebook than Instagram, but Instagram definitely helped it with like people
For
that
sure.
were around my age. And then but early on Facebook was huge.
Your thing, right?
Yeah, and still to this day that's where we focus Facebook, Instagram. But I think now it just kind of keeps us top of mind.
Okay, and this is I'll tell you who it is. Matt Weiner.
Yeah, Wayner.
He goes, if you could go back to your first day as an agent, what would you advise yourself? Tough.
No, it's loaded because I could go in so many directions. But I would say number one is to focus more on your mindset and yourself.
That's good.
What are you working on every single day with your mindset to get you in that? Because this business is a hard business. It'll chew you up and swallow you and spit you out. So number one is mindset, right? How are you building a bulletproof mindset?
Mm-hmm.
Number two, what's your schedule? All right. So how are you working on your mindset every day? And what's your schedule every single day? The funny thing is people get into this business, like I talk about time freedom, right? It's like the opposite. Like I literally, like the only way, like Jocko Willink says, discipline equals freedom.
Yeah.
You need to have a lot of discipline towards a very rigorous schedule to do the same things every single day. And Mike Ferry used to say it's called repetitious boredom. You're doing the same thing every day. It gets boring. People get into the business because they want freedom.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about, right? You want freedom. It should be the opposite. You need to focus on your mindset every single day, but you need a schedule that you work every single day, Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday morning or 7 days, whatever it is. For me, it was Monday through Friday. That's what I did every day, Monday through Friday. I had a rigorous schedule.
Gotcha, man. Okay, so we got real quick, two like goofy ones, and then like one more serious one. So, Christian wants to know, who throws the fastest fastball between us two?
You didn't pitch, so did you in high school?
I did not.
Okay.
So I said maybe,
Me neither.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think so. When we used to do our thanks, man. When we used to do our I had one of the best throwing coaches. Shout out to Coach Alexander. CJ Alexander, who's currently in the minor leagues right now. Blaze Alexander, also in the minor leagues. Both of them are about to be in the majors. And Zach Plezak, who's in the majors. Those three guys, they're all cousins and family. And then CJ and Blaze's dad was my throwing coach.
Really? Okay.
Man, when we do those morning trainings, I was usually the worst one of those three.
I was gonna
for sure.
say, yeah,
but
of
like
bad.
even like the other guys that were there. So I think across the diamond, I think I would get up to like 88 at the top. I was usually an 86.
That's actually pretty.
I was usually mid 80s, like 85, 86 across the diamond. The highest I think I ever got was 88. I never touched 90s, but I was usually 85 across the diamond.
Yeah. From short?
From short.
Yeah. Where was I? I'm probably like 86. Can't remember.
And the only reason I know that, man, is because Chuck Alexander, man, one of the best freaking coaches of all time. I mean, he's got two sons that are playing, minor league. Almost
when you
major
said
league.
that, I was like,
had two guys, dude, over at this Little League field. I used to play with that.
That's
I was always the
wild.
worst, though, man. Like Blaze was like 6 years younger than me, I think, maybe 4 years. And that dude was like, I remember him being like 9, and I was, he was probably 11.
Blaze.
And I was
Do you
like
know what
16.
team he plays for?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in the Atlanta's program.
Okay.
I need to double check that. I could be wrong.
Because I feel like I've seen that
he's in the
name.
Braves program. Dude's a beast. He has for years he had the fastest across diamond throw for perfect game.
Jeez.
He was an 18-year-old. I think he threw 102 across the diamond.
I was gonna say that sounds really
He
familiar.
went viral.
What the
He went
heck?
viral like 5 years
Yeah.
ago.
He's from here?
Yeah,
Wait,
bro.
what the-
Yeah, man. Yeah. His sister Sloan and I were good friends.
Okay.
So, but they're her two younger brothers, man. They're beasts. Love those guys.
That's awesome.
Miss those guys, honestly. But yeah, Chuck Alexander. Shout out to Chuck. Chuck's the
Throwing
man.
gas across the diamond.
Yeah, no, dude, those kids were beasts. But Blaze was like 5-6 years younger than me. And he was throwing the ball farther and harder. I'm like, this is embarrassing. Embarrassing. Truthfully though, he was like just under me on. I was like, man, he
That's
getting
wild.
too close.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this kid's like 11, dude. I'm like 16.
Ain't
So
no
anyway.
way.
He was a beast.
2 more questions. One
Yep.
more. Your official stance on pineapple pizza?
Man, I ain't literally never eaten it out of principle.
Really? Oh.
I think I've never eaten it out of principle. I think deep down I'm like, I don't eat pineapples on pizza. And I'm a big pineapple guy.
It's from my
Oh,
mom.
God, here you go. Here we
My
go.
mom
Mama.
says, Alex, I would like to know, how has it been having Adrian on your team, and does he drive you crazy yet?
I saw that question.
Four
So
people
that
laughed at it.
was the first question. It has been, dude, it has been the best.
You can tell the
thing
truth.
ever. Dude, it's been the best ever. I will do anything for anybody that commits
For
and
sure.
has trust in me. And unless you experience it, I don't think. I mean, I always go the route of I'm always on your side, anyone's side that's
Yeah.
part of this team, and I would do anything to keep you there and commit to you. And dude, you've been unbelievably loyal and very grateful. The random messages you send me are like, "Hey man, thank you," or "Hey this," but also just the kind of like the glue that you provide for the team too. Just being like, it's fun, we laugh, we enjoy, we have a good time. You always bring
It
that
is
sense
fun.
of humor. At the same time, I think you're just that person that everybody enjoys to be around. Like, there's never a time where you're like, damn it, Adrian's here.
Glad to know.
So I think, man, I think so Mama, it has been amazing. You've raised an amazing son. Okay. You should be very proud, because this man is going to do a lot for you and for your family and for his family. But no, it's been awesome.